Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Shannon Rutherford, the town planner for Farmington. I will start with a roll call of the commission members for this evening. Matthew Bandel,
Here.
Bob Canto,
Here.
Patrick Carrier,
Here.
Dave St. Germain,
Here.
Liz Sanford,
Here.
Scott Halstead,
Here.
and alternates Bruce Polsky,
Here.
Mike Tucci,
Here.
and Kyla Zimmerman, I believe is absent. I am not seeing her online. Yeah, Kyla is absent this evening.
All right, thanks, Shannon. So good evening, everybody. My name is Scott Halstead, and I welcome you to the Town Plan and Zoning meeting for January 22nd, 2024. Liz, would you mind reading the legal notice for us, please?
Okay. Notice is hereby given that the Town Plan and Zoning Commission will hold a hybrid in-person and online public hearing on Monday, January 22nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council chambers on the following applications. Carrie Courier application for a special permit to raise 13 hens at 35 Fairview Drive, R20 zone. Douglas Nash application for a special permit to raise 17 hens at 18 Fairview Drive, R20 zone. Yuxel Cockrock application for a special permit for home business, commercial kitchen at 864 Plainville Avenue, R20, R30 zones. Key One Chen application for a special permit for personal service shop, nail salon at 902 Farmington Avenue, FW zone. John Sinise application for a 2-lot subdivision of 222 Talcott Notch Road, R80 zone. Interested parties are encouraged to participate in this hybrid public hearing. Participation in person is at 1 Monteith Drive, Town Hall, Town Council chambers, or online participation is via the link to the meeting on the Town of Farmington's website. The address is on the screen. A copy of this proposal is online at the same address or by calling the planning department at Farmington Town Hall at 860-675-2325. Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 4th day of January, 2024. Town Plan and Zoning Commission.
Thanks, Liz. All right, we'll jump into new business. Our first application tonight is SignPro Inc. for 291 Farmington Avenue.
Mr. Chair, I just want to make a note. Kyla did
Oh, okay.
join on. Kyla, I'm promoting you to panel. You need to accept the promotion to panelist. And then if you can just confirm you can hear us in your attendance, please.
I'm able to hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, wait. SignPro.
SignPro.
Christine,
Hi there, can you hear me?
we sure can.
Great. Thank you everyone for hearing this sign application tonight. It is for 291 Farmington Avenue. There are 3 different wall signs being proposed, all tenants within 291 Farmington Avenue. As you can see on the plot plan, it shares a lot with 281 Farmington Avenue, separate building, separate tenants. The 3 signs we are proposing are all halo lit wall signs. They will be for BPS Perio, or Periodontics is the first tenant. As you can see there, the 3 together, BPS Perio, CT Max, which is Connecticut Maxillofacial, if I'm pronouncing that right, and Dental Associates. All 3 wall signs are proposed on the west elevation there. That is 53 linear feet, meaning there would be an allowance of 53 square feet for wall signage. The 3 signs together proposed total 42.36 square feet. So we are within the allowance by the zoning regulations. Again, all 3 are halo lit. They're all made of aluminum. And there is a possibility of producing them with a dimmer switch to adjust the illumination levels if need be. It was scrolled by before. There is an existing ground sign on the lot, but no changes are being proposed to that, so that would stay the same. And I believe, I can go over the sizes of each. The BPS Perio sign is 14 square feet. The CT Max sign is 21.25 square feet. And the Dental Associates sign is 7.11 square feet. And I would ask if there are any questions or clarifications.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn it over to commissioners for questions. Matt?
You mentioned that you are on board with the condition that there is a dimmer installed.
Yes, absolutely. I know it was mentioned in the staff report that the ground sign has one, and we can absolutely do that as a condition.
I'm good.
Bobby?
No questions.
Patrick?
No questions. Thank you.
Liz?
No question.
All right, Dave?
Are these to be lit all through the night?
So normally I believe it's set to whatever their opening hours are, but if you have any conditions for that as well, we would be willing to work with those.
Thank you.
Bruce?
No questions.
Mike?
No questions.
Kyla?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no other questions, anybody have last second questions? Good? All right, can we get a motion in a second, please?
Okay. Yep, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application, the sign application by Sign Pro Inc. for property located at 291 Farmington Avenue with the condition that a dimmer switch be installed and be adjusted if requested by the town staff.
Second.
All right, any discussion needed? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
All right, our second application is Brianna Sinise at 30 Tambar Trail, a request for fence exception.
I am not sure who's called in. for-
Okay,
So I know Brianna has not. I do not see her father, who is going to be on later this evening. We may want to just table this.
okay,
Yeah, I'm not
okay.
seeing,
We can come back to it.
we can just table it and we might do it with 222 Talcott Notch at
Okay.
that point, if Mr. Sinise is on.
Okay, sounds good. All right, third application, Marcel Mirambeau, 721 New Britain Avenue.
Right. The applicant will not be present this evening. The agenda review. I will explain into the record. Staff was made aware of a large quantity of fill placed on this property back in September of 2023. We met with the owner at the property in early September and confirmed the fill material that had been brought in. For our regulations, Article 2, Section 24, any fill over 100 cubic yards requires a permit with the Town Plan and Zoning Commission if it's not part of an otherwise larger site plan or subdivision plan or special permit application. So the homeowner submitted the application that is up on the screen, but no other supporting documentation demonstrating the area or volume, side slopes, toe slope of the material that was placed. And has not been able to do so since the time of her submission of the application. And we have extended all of our, because this is a site plan and not a special permit. Right, so site plan has 65 days and then there's the 65 days of extension time. She had granted extension time, but we are now at 52 of the 65 days of extension time. We are out of extension time.
Yep.
So at this point, I'm asking the commission to deny the application without prejudice there, so that if she does supply all the information, she does have the opportunity to reapply to the commission. And staff is continuing dialogue with this individual to try to rectify the situation.
Okay.
If there's any questions?
Yeah,
I'm
anybody
happy
have
to
questions?
Answer them.
Is it really 400 cubic yards?
Based on our best estimation, there's 300 to 400 cubic yards material that was brought into this property. Yes.
That's a big hole.
Is it stabilized at this point or is it just placed?
It's just placed. It is somewhat compacted, but it has not been topsoil and seeded.
I'm assuming that's the riverside, not the opposite side, correct?
That is correct. It is approximately 200 feet from the river edge.
That's what I thought, yeah.
If it was a wetland issue, it'd be a whole other conversation. It's not at this particular point.
So process, Shannon, we need to make a motion to
So
deny the application.
Yeah,
Is that what
actually,
we
I
do?
know normally we do the motions in the affirmative. In this case, I would request the motion be to deny the application without prejudice. Second, and vote accordingly. The issue is if it's not denied, then and the time runs out, it's approved.
Right.
Okay,
So that's,
that makes sense.
I do need an action on this, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we get a motion in a second, please?
All right, let me give it a shot here.
Oh, new player.
I'd like, yeah,
And it's a
I'd like
different,
to make a motion to deny without prejudice the site plan application to place 400 cubic yards of fill in backyard at 721 New Britain Avenue.
No,
Second?
second.
Great. Any discussion? Everybody good? Know what we're voting on? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
yeah, that's weird to do it in.
I know. It is. Oh, I think we did it right, Shannon? We're good?
It's
Okay.
one of the few times that we
Yeah.
do it in the
Yeah, I
negative.
watched you pause for a second.
Thank you.
All right, good. All right, we're going to move on to public hearings, and I just want to take a minute to give, particularly for the public, a brief explanation of how these will work. We'll ask the applicant to present to the commission. We'll go through like we've done with commissioner questions. We'll then open it for public comment, first those that are in the room, and then we'll go to those online. We ask that you please keep comments limited to 5 minutes per person. And that if your comments echo those of previous speakers, it's okay to just acknowledge that in your comments rather than restating. And we're only sharing these guidelines to be respectful both of the public's and the commission's time. Public comment's really important to us and helps us in a lot of our decision-making process. So we thank you, those of you that participate. All right. With that being said, our first application is Michael Lavoy, application for special permit for home business to keep poultry and raise rabbits at 12 Winthrop Drive. It's continued from the December meeting. And there he is.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Michael.
So you want me to restate everything that we did there?
If you could, just a brief summary.
Yeah.
And then an update for what activities you've done.
Okay.
Since the meeting in December, to bring the property into more compliance so that it would be acceptable for the commission to process the application.
Okay, so I'm looking to raise 30 rabbits at the house, as well as keep poultry. Just so you guys know, we did knock the number of poultry down to 21. We do have someone coming and looking at 2 male ducks this week. Rabbits haven't changed to meet the guidelines of what was set forth. Last meeting, I did do a bunch of cleaning in the easement. We did get rid of some of the wood piles that were of concern. And I did have Mr. Daigle and Animal Control come down on January 12th. Just to check and make sure that everything was up to par with what they were looking for. And I got the okay for that. So I've been, like I said, working to get the poultry down. We ended up rehoming approximately 6 chickens and four ducks when we're looking to rehome 2 males. So we'll only have female poultry on property.
Okay. Good. So Dave, I know you weren't on the commission at the time.
Yeah, I'd like to say for the record that I watched the last meeting on Zoom. I've heard enough of the record and read the associated documents, so I feel like I'm up to speed and would be able to participate in the discussion and vote.
Thanks, Dave. All right, let's turn it over for questions. Matt?
Okay, so I see that you worked with ACO, made those necessary changes. Appreciate that. And you say you still have 30 rabbits?
Yes.
And is that number necessary to continue your operations of breeding?
For what we are doing, we're breeding for more show. Yes, all of the rabbits that we have are show rabbits. And I think that if we were to take some of those out, we would be taking 3 steps back from where we are.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, Bobby?
Well, thank you for going in and reducing your number of poultry. I know you still have 1 more to go. Which is a big step, and cleaning up the property is a big step. Did you take out the business permit?
I never put in for a business permit.
You never put in for a business. All right. So, because this is considered business, is what you're doing, correct?
It is more of a hobby than a business. I think I've tried to communicate that to the town planning and zoning committee. Anything, like I said, last meeting, anything that we make goes right back to the rabbitry. We don't keep any of that money. So like when we sell rabbits, goes back to food, repairs, those types of things.
Right, which is technically a business expense, but the rabbits, I'm having a big problem with the rabbits. That's my thing. I'd like to see you limit it to 20, just like the chickens. And then that being said, what's a reasonable time? Because obviously these things are breeding. So, rabbits breed like rabbits. You're going to have quite a few offspring at a time. What's a reasonable time to get rid of the offspring once they're born?
Usually when they're born, we usually get rid of them within 2 or 3 months. So after they hit 8 weeks old, we start posting for deposits, and where all of the extras are usually gone within that 2 to 3 month period.
Historically, on a high side, what have you had for rabbits at one time?
Historically, I would probably say we would get close to about 60 rabbits on premises for those
60,
two,
and
for those 2 to
that's if
3.
2 or 3 breed and they have 10 apiece.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I'm having the problem with it. I'd really like to see that number go down to 20. I'd even give you the caveat of during breeding season or whatever, give you 6 to 8 weeks to get rid of the offspring. But I'm just that's a big number for me. All right. So for right now, I'll hold off, but that's where I stand.
Okay. Thanks, Bobby. Patrick?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Bob on everything he just said. Last time we had talked about a fence, and you're still on board with that, and that would be up to the side yard, because the house is like 7 feet, I think, or so off the property line there. So the fence itself would be something, from the back corner of the house towards the rear property line. Okay, yeah, so 30 rabbits is what you have now, and that's what you'd like to keep at all times, and then it's up from there with breeding, right? Is I'm
Yes.
understanding that correctly?
Yep.
And then Shannon, so when we grant a special permit, it runs with the land, right? We always say that.
Correct.
And there's no way, so in the past, we've revisited something in a year. Is that something that is possible?
We can.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
You know, because we're,
The applicant, the special permit is predicated that the conditions, both that the commission sets and that are required for the zoning regulations are being continued to be met.
Mhm.
So your right to have the special permit is commensurate with the responsibility to follow the conditions.
And then if we were to say yes to 30 rabbits and then, you know, however many offspring. And then, you know, the neighbor to the, when you're looking at the house to the left, if they start complaining within a year, that doesn't really, he's already approved, right? The only thing we can do is make sure that he's following what we approve, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And then we did have one letter, right, from a neighbor
Yes.
in which, what, which
It
neighbor?
was the neighbor to the right.
Okay.
I clicked something, so I closed out of something and I closed all my PDFs by accident, so. Yeah, but it was the neighbor to the right of the property. So at 9 Winthrop Drive, so the property right here is the end of the, and they share the end of the cul-de-sac. 12 is to the end to the left and 9 is to the end to the right.
Right, okay. Anyway, yeah, so that's it. That's where I'm at. I agree with Bob. I mean, it's hard because we're already at this point, you know, but I do feel for the neighbors, potentially a new homeowner down the road, you know, our max for poultry is 20. And then let's say we go to 20 ducks or not ducks, sorry, rabbits plus, and then some, you know, that's more than 40 animals, you know, at all times, you know what I mean? So more, so it's 40 or more. You know, and I know we were talking about, you know, the odor and I was reading in there the fertilizer and so on and so forth. I just got to wonder, you know, on a really hot summer day. I mean, I have one bunny and that thing poops more than it eats, to be honest. It's incredible. So I just wonder, you know, that odor, you know, how, I guess that would be something if somebody was to complain, you know, that'd be something that can be enforced, but it's hard for me to believe being, you know, that close to someone else's house with that many animals that is, you know, going to be controlled at all times. So I'll just leave it at that. You know, I'm struggling with the amount that, you know, and I would certainly probably most likely feel more comfortable revisiting it in a year just to,
Okay.
you know, in this particular situation, depending on how we approve it or whatever.
Right. Thanks, Patrick. Yeah, great. Liz?
I was gonna drill down on the 30 number. So that's 30 would be your population and.
Yes.
Not to get into too many weeds there, but are rabbits bred multiple times in a year? Are they, you know, is it, we're having babies every 5 weeks
No.
or, okay, I don't know
Yeah.
enough rabbit husbandry, so.
No, we have select times of the year that we do breed. They're not bred year round. You know, just because in the middle of winter, it's hard for us to be able to control that stuff. So in fact, in the winter, you know, it's better for us to have the 30 as opposed to extra babies. Yeah. It's just easier.
Oh, it makes sense. It's a little, they're so tiny when they're first born. So looking like spring and through the summer, that would be, and is it?
Most likely, we breed up until usually up until like July or August,
Okay.
because then it's show season. So that just gets to be a little busy as well. So
Okay, and, okay. And I understand the idea of reducing to 20 might mess up the genetic makeups and,
yeah,
But
it's
it's
not
also-
ideal to what we were hoping, but
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Dave?
I guess I would just wonder, you know, with all the rain we've been having, what are you doing to mitigate any runoff? I know it's healthy probably for plants, but for health purposes.
So I'm working with a friend, especially around the chicken coop, to help with the grade there. Just because we've had when it rains, for some reason, one side of the chicken coops gets soaked and the other side doesn't. So I'm trying to figure out what the grade would be to make it so everybody stays mostly dry. But, you know, it's been a weird winter with all of this rain, you know, three inches in one storm, 4 inches in another. When it comes to runoff from the compost pile, I do have tarps and things in the back of it that helps to mitigate some of that. But again, we're on property for that, and I haven't seen that much. You know, we're always out there checking and making sure that everybody looks good and everybody's dry and everybody's happy. So
Thank you.
Bruce?
Mr. Labwa, I wasn't seated either, actually, last December 11th, but I was in the room and I listened to all the material. So I want to kind of follow up on the questions some of my fellow commissioners are asking. And I think you're getting the sense we're kind of worried about the total number of animals you have on your property. I wanted to know if you have any preferences you'd like the commission to take into account between them. You know, if you had to have a limit, what would they be? Could you live with just the rabbits and no chickens, or would you have your chickens and less rabbits? Just want to understand what your preferences are.
well, we do love the rabbits, and I mean, the chickens supply us with, you know, the eggs. It's hard to make that type of decision. It's going to be harder if you guys decide to do 20 and we have to make the decision to figure out which 10 we need to get rid of, you know, because we've had most of these rabbits since 2019. So they are part of our family, and we've worked really hard to get the genetics to where they are. So having to make that decision is kind of like saying, okay, which one is our favorite kid and which one can we give to like an aunt or uncle? Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where, you know, I know that I've gotten myself into this, but you know, it's going to be a hard decision. You know, as I've stated multiple times, 30 rabbits, our breeding population is something that we can ideally work with and keep up with and all of that stuff. We wouldn't go over 30 rabbits for the breeding population. And then, as I said before, you know, my wife does a really good job at getting rid of or finding new homes. I keep saying get rid of, but finding new homes for the babies. We actually just had one of our French Laps. Someone from Washington State actually flew down, picked up one of our French Laps and flew it back to Washington State. So, I mean, if that's something that tells you that our genetics are pretty good and we're having people fly across country to come pick up rabbits from us, you know, it's one of those things where we have to get rid of them. You know, we're starting back at square one and trying to figure out where we need to go from there. You know, it's
Understood. It's a tough situation.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing that. I did read in one of the letters from your neighbor that he had seen some rabbits. Have you had any problems with escapees in the
No.
past or present? Or?
The one that he is seeing is a wild rabbit that lives in a brush pile near our house, which I'm slowly working on getting rid of. I just feel bad getting rid of the brush pile in the middle of winter for this wild rabbit. We haven't had any escapees. There's been no domestic rabbits reported or seen in the neighborhood that are out and running around. It's just a wild rabbit that lives in one of our brush piles off on the side of the yard.
Thank you. I'm all set.
Thanks, Bruce. Mike?
No questions.
Kyla, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. So can you just refresh where the rabbits are on the property?
So the rabbits are up on the property line right here. And then we've got one coop that's off to the side of the chicken coops are there, yes. And then we've got one rabbit hutch that's off to the side of the compost heap.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think, you know, you've heard from commissioners and some of their concerns. I think I echo some of those, because when I boil it down, we're talking about 50 animals in an R9 zone, which is not the largest land. So just there's flags for me there too. I'm not sure I have all the answers yet, and we'll talk it through as we go, but I'm just kind of letting you know where I'm at as well. Is there anything else you'd like the commission to know before we turn it over to public comment?
No, I think I've said my piece here.
All right, appreciate it. All right, we'll now open it for public comment. If there's anybody in the room that would like to speak on this application. Okay. Shannon, anybody online?
Okay, if anyone has called in to offer comment on the public hearing for 12 Winthrop Drive for the use of poultry and rabbits on the property, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom, and you will be acknowledged to address the commission. Again, if anyone has called in to offer comment on the application for 12 Winthrop Drive, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Okay, thanks,
So
Shannon.
the only, just as a reminder for the record, the only public comment then was the written
Yeah.
email that came in prior to the last meeting.
Okay. All right, so I'm trying to remember procedure, Shannon. So I know if we close the hearing, we can't ask questions any longer, but we can have discussion without closing the hearing, correct? If we wanted to have discussion
We
and,
wanted to have a preliminary discussion so that you can leave the opportunity open.
we don't have to make a
engage
motion yet or
questions.
anything, correct?
You don't have to, but
Okay.
then you will need a motion in a second, and then you can revisit your discussion, have discussion amongst the 6 voting members at that point. So you can do a poll or a discussion at this point.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
Would this being there's no rabbit regulation, would this create a precedent? Or anything? No?
Not necessarily. Obviously it's looked at just as we do any of the other applications from a reference standpoint. As I noted in the agenda review, I think it probably most closely references our reg, with respect to fur-bearing animals, but there were no specifications in the regulation regarding the raising of fur-bearing animals. That's the extent of it. And then farm is separate, we've got something that's specific for horses. We have something specific for farm. And then there was this fur-bearing animal line item. So yes, does it open it up a little bit from a sample of what, what we may look at in the future? Sure, but I think it also gets looked at on a property by property basis.
Understood. Thank you.
Anybody else with lingering questions? Patrick?
Yeah, so if we do make a motion, right, if we say rabbits specifically, right, rather than fur-bearing animals, so in other words, let's say the number goes down to, I don't know, 25 rabbits, and now there's some other kind of animal, how does that work? Is it going to be specific to rabbits?
I'm not following.
Yeah, so in other words, like if we, so
If you decide.
yeah,
certain
so in other words,
animals-
yeah, so if we say yes to the 30 rabbits, right?
Right.
And-
It doesn't open us up to then allowing somebody that's raising foxes or.
No, right, but what about that particular household that has that permit, right? Let's say now he's down to 20 rabbits. Does he have another spot for 10 fur bearing? You know what I'm saying? Like would he have to come back, or is it just specific to rabbits? And if he
No,
has,
you make it a specific.
two rabbits.
Absolutely. Mhm. Absolutely.
all right, that's it, yeah.
Yeah. So where are we at? Where's everybody at with closing
Mm-hmm.
the public hearing or not? I guess my thought process is if we want to consult with the applicant as we discuss more
Right.
Bruce's questions about like
I
the
think in this
balance of
case,
the animals and such.
yeah, I
We
agree
would
with
leave
that.
it open. Everybody on the
So
same page?
question for you. Why is 30 the optimal genetic number?
Well, I mean, those are all of our best rabbits. Those are the ones that we've kept. There's no rhyme or reason to it, but like I said, they're family. It's like, it's one of those things like all of them, most of those 30 have been with us since 2019 when we started.
Okay.
What's the life expectancy of a show rabbit?
Average is 7 to 10 years.
And how old are these now?
We've got them in 2019. They're 4.
So as you, let's say one does pass away, you're looking to replace it, right? I mean,
not actively looking, but you know, if one does pass away, you know, there's always the possibility of us looking for a new line of genetics or something along those lines. It's not.
right. And I don't even know if this is possible, but let's say, you know, it was 30, yeah, and then as you lose them, we bring that number down to 20 and not replace, if we can do something like that, is that something, I mean, you can work with and still accomplish what you're trying to accomplish?
By that point, I think we may be able to.
How do we control that? Do we go out and tag them?
No, but I mean, it would be,
You know what I mean? It's gonna be an honor system type thing.
Right.
Right.
A lot of what we do
Faith
is,
gesture,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
but then if somebody complains and you go down to a head count and there's more,
More.
I guess you wouldn't know. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know the answer to that, but.
Yeah.
It's a lot of animals. I mean,
Right.
that's the bottom line. And I feel, right, you already have them. So, I could imagine what it's like to have to get rid of them prematurely, if they pass, you're going through, that motion, but ultimately that's, I'd like to see it come down. I mean, even to me, 20 is a lot, to be honest, like
Yeah.
it's 40, it's 40 plus animals.
Could it be a staged reduction, given the average lifespan? It's every so many years it goes down to, 5, 10 lower. So it's at 20.
The only thing with that is that if, you can't predict, like the lifespan is what, how many years?
Average is 7 to 10.
10 years.
Yeah, and I think I lost one at 5 and the other one is older than 8, so
Right.
it's hard to,
Right.
hard to,
Not an exact science for sure.
I mean, that's what I would.
Breeding is gonna replace.
Right.
I mean, I don't know which way the commission's gonna go. I mean, if we were to say yes to the 20, or sorry, the 30, I obviously would feel a lot more comfortable if that number goes down over time to the 20. That's if we even allow that,
Mhm.
So I'd be looking to do something like that.
So I want to ask, go ahead, Liz. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that, Patrick, I like your thinking on that. So it's not you have until April 1st, say, toss out a hard and fast date. It does allow allow your rabbits to age in place, which is what people want to do nowadays. But it allows them to maintain, and it, because there's a certain investment in here and you have put time, effort, money. But also that's a lot of, as we've said, it's a lot of animals in a small lot. So I kind of like the idea of phasing out if we can come up with a workable frame.
So what if it's 10 years, we give an extra year and say at 2030, which is forever away from now, right?
Goodness.
Right? We reduce to 20 and that stays as the static number.
Right, so 2030, that's 6 years from now, and you said they're all old,
About 4.
so it's pretty safe.
If the focus, of the commission is on the total number of animals,
Mhm.
one thing we could do is limit the total number of animals and let Mr. Lavoie do the balance between them. So if we say you can have 40 animals, then he has to go down to 10 chickens and he can keep his 30 rabbits and he can bring his chickens up when the rabbit population comes down. So if we can go on the total number of animals, that may give him more options for his breeding program and still allow some flexibility. Because I think, the total number is
Right,
really the stuff that gives us the most agita.
yeah, that's a great point.
What I see Shannon looking at us like, I mean.
I was gonna step in and I'm kind of interested to watch this play out. I don't have.
Okay.
This is a unique one. Yeah.
I'm good, you're fine.
Okay, I
I'm
don't-
not- There's nothing.
But wouldn't we also exceed the 20 maximum chickens?
Well,
If
we could put a
You couldn't.
caveat.
I never thought this would be the topic of the discussion.
Right?
Well, you couldn't exceed the 20, right?
Right.
Well, no, if
Up
we're
to a
giving us a
maximum of
total
what?
number of animals, then you could
You could have one rabbit.
in 29.
Well, no, you'd still
You-
have to keep to the 20, so you could have,
Regulations for 20.
Right.
it would have to be a hybrid of
Right.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Polsky's suggestion. You could cap it at 40 total. with
No more than
no
20
more than
chickens.
20 chickens, so
Right.
then you've got the flexibility. Conversely, you could go to 1 chicken and 39 rabbits.
Mhm.
So you gotta, so you could put max, so you can say a total max of 40, not to exceed at any 1.20 chickens and not to exceed at any 1.30 rabbits. So then you could have a 30-10, a 20-20. Right?
Right.
You could do that. The phasing is fine. The more quantifiable it is, the easier it is to enforce. I understand that that's hard. I get it. But the looser the wording is, it becomes very difficult for the planning office to enforce down the line.
And then you also have the whole added on to the breeding.
Correct. I was just gonna
When
say
they
that.
have the
Yeah.
babies, how long do you keep the babies? Does that add into the total? You know, what if I can't get a home for that baby? You know, so we run into a lot of problems. That's where I'm having a struggle with it is, you know, if it was just 20 rabbits as pets, but the breeding aspect to me brings in another bit of confusion
Yeah.
and
I'm just curious,
problems.
how many rabbits are typically in a litter? Are
The
they
average about 6
6? And what's the ratio from male to female that you have?
for us. We have ratio is different depending on the breed. So we've got two French Lops to 4 female French Lops, so 2 males to 4 females. It's two male mini Lops to 6 or 8 females. So it's dependent on the breed.
I don't know if pup is the right term, but how many babies do you typically have when you are breeding?
Again, it's average of 6. We have some that take, some that don't, you know, so it's one of those things where it's kind of crapshoot. We gotta wait 30 days and see if they have babies. If they don't, then they don't.
Well, roughly how many? Like, I mean, what did you have last year?
At our highest,
Yeah,
60 total animals on the property.
okay, so 60 total, so 20,
Yeah.
30, and then 10. But that's counting the litter though,
That's 60 total animals with the rabbits at our highest. Yeah. With I'm just talking rabbits. 60
Yeah,
total
Not
rabbits.
including.
Oh, okay,
Not-
okay.
not the chickens.
Okay, right,
That's
so
60
30 and
rabbits.
30.
Yeah.
Right, that's 60 rabbits.
And then what time of year do you breed them?
Usually spring through beginning of summer.
And then how long does it take usually to find them a new home?
Anywhere between 2 and 3 months.
Right.
So all the way till like September roughly, did I do that right?
July, August, yeah.
September, October.
Well, yeah, that's.
Yeah,
So even setting a number, it's not really that number.
correct.
Yeah,
That was my point, right, you know? And then I understand you saying this is a hobby, but it's really a business. And you just said it yourself, you have people coming from Washington State to buy your animals. So it is a business, whether you make a profit from it or not, it is a business.
I have one more question. It's a little morbid. Sorry, but when I was a kid, my parents raised Dachshunds, and sometimes a pup wouldn't make it. What do you experience that as well? And
Yes.
what is the process of disposing?
I work for a veterinary hospital, so I
Okay.
bring them there to be cremated.
Okay, that's one of my concerns. Thanks.
So I guess, Mr. Lavoy, I mean, you're getting a sense that we're looking at reducing the number just because it's an awful lot of animals to have. And I want to sort of take a shot at Bruce's question again about, can you give us any guidance on where that number could be reduced? Otherwise, I think we're going to be left to discuss it amongst the commission. Like, would it be more chickens? It seems like you're more connected to the rabbits in that business than the chickens, but I'd really like to get your input before we start to deliberate on what
I can
decision.
possibly part with some of the chickens. The rabbits are a little more difficult.
Okay.
And it's not just me, it's my wife is very
Mhm.
invested in that too. I can't say we're gonna, I can't go back and be like, we gotta get rid of, 10 rabbits, but I can part with chickens if need be.
That's helpful. Thank you. Any more questions for the applicant from Mr. Lavoy?
One more, about when in a lifespan of a rabbit do they stop breeding or do they never stop?
No, they usually stop around 5 or 6. So, I mean, we're close to the end with a lot of them too, so.
So would you need to replace them to continue breeding?
If it comes down to it, we would find the ones that have stopped breeding new homes and we could replace with new lines if it were okay with the commission.
So it goes back to that, no trickling down and no.
It would never reduce.
Correct.
It would be the same, it would
Right.
be new rabbits every
New
6
bloodline.
years.
Right.
Gotcha.
And the tough part is
You don't
that
have
it's
any attrition there.
it's not even like a 1 week period, right? Where the breeding happens and then they're off. I mean, this is like,
Right.
this is like approving
It's an
60
ongoing-
rabbits.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And, yeah.
Right.
Not an easy one.
Nope. Any other questions for the applicant? We ready to close the public hearing? Good. Okay, public hearing is closed. Thank you, Mr. Lavoy. All right. So do we need to motion now, Shannon, or can we continue discussion?
I would suggest a motion.
A
and
motion.
Second.
Okay.
And the discussion, if the
We can amend.
discussion leads to different motion suggestion, then the motion can certainly be amended.
I will say I just kind of threw something down here based on what we've said. I can throw it out and we can talk, or,
Why don't we
you
just
want me
like
to-
make a clean motion based on what?
okay, make a clean motion?
Yeah, and then we'll
Okay.
amend it to whatever we come up with.
Okay.
So
Give it
you're
a
saying
shot.
no with no conditions is what you're saying, or?
Right, just as is, and then, because we're gonna have a lot of discussion.
Right.
I'm assuming,
Yeah, I
about
agree.
What direction we're gonna go. and-
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
you feel more
Oh,
simple,
So
yeah,
make a simple motion and then we'll discuss it after.
and then change, yeah.
Oh, okay, so not my
Yeah,
amended, okay. Oh,
But we're looking
Okay.
forward to that.
that's gonna be a tough one for you.
Wow. a lot of pressure. Okay, okay, so then I will start with, I would like a motion to approve the application by Michael Lavoy for a special permit for home business to keep poultry and raise rabbits at 12 Winthrop Drive in an R9 zone.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay. All right, why don't we go person by person and get a sense of kind of where we're at? What thoughts you have, where you are at this moment. Matt, you want to start us off?
Sure. It's been interesting. I didn't know that much about rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that it's one of those things, it's gonna kind of be impossible to quantify without a solid, rigid number. Rabbits are gonna be coming in and out. The gentleman, I think his intentions are good. I think he's saying 30 is the optimal number. It's kind of where I'm leaning. 30 rabbits, reduce the chickens to 10 for a total of 40. And that's just across the board, a solid approval. No, rate reductions or anything, because that can be confusing and unenforceable.
Bobby?
I still think the 30 is too high. I'm leaning towards, the 20 poultry, because that's quantified. It's already on the books. We know what it is. That's easily enforceable. I would suggest dropping the rabbits down to 20. I will even give it the caveat of, when he has a litter, giving them 6 to 8 weeks to find a home for the babies. No more than 20 babies at a time. So he's got 2 moms breeding, but full-grown breeding rabbits, I think 30 is way too many. I would like to see that number at 20. So we do 20 chickens, 20 rabbits. And when they breed, you have 8 weeks to get rid of the offspring. Or rehome, let's put it that way, I'm sorry. And that's where I'm at. And I would like to see a business permit taken out for it because this really is a business.
Patrick?
Yeah, I guess I pretty much agree with that. You know, so the 30, yeah, I guess I agree with that. Let me put it that way. 20 and 20 is 40. If you go with the 30, now there's a lot more offspring as well. It is a difficult one. Obviously, he has, you know, he's already has this going on. I mean, it, to me would be a no-brainer if he came in and was asked to be able to do this.
Yep.
You know, it would be much easier, I think, to deny, I guess. But yeah, I'm definitely sticking with the 20 and the 20, and then the offspring to, again, it's a lot of rabbits. I don't know. So stuck on this one, maybe
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. Liz?
Yes, the sheer number, there are a lot of critters on that property. Though I tend to lean a little towards Matt with the 40 max. Including those not to exceed the statutory 20 chicken limit. And I would love to see a reduction over time. Not saying it has to have, you know, we gotta boot those bunnies by, as they, you know, July 1st or something. I think that's harsh. But I kind of like the 40 animal total.
I agree with that. I'm sorry, I did misstate that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so 40 animals total. Yeah, and if it could be 10 and 30, obviously you can't do 20, more than 20 poultry, so.
Right, yes, abide by that. That's the part I like. I think that's a good framework, gives the homeowner flexibility in terms of which do I prefer, you know, which am I more vested in, I guess is the way to put it.
Dave?
I think I agree with that. And maybe we could somewhere specify the word adult in there, knowing that there's going to be babies and I don't know when a rabbit becomes an adult. But I think if we specified the word adult in there, because knowing the numbers are gonna, it won't really ever be 40, right?
Right.
We know that.
Mhm.
But it makes an allowance and allows them to carry on.
Mhm.
Shannon, clarifying again, so alternates can't participate in conversation at this point, right? Because we closed the hearing.
Correct.
Is that accurate? Okay, just wanted to both clarify for you and for myself to remember the procedure. I tend to agree with everybody said. I think, you know, what didn't come up is the idea you had, Patrick, of do we do a year
Right.
and revisit and see where we're at, number of animals wise, and revisit at that point. We may be in a place where there's fewer rabbits and we try to keep it at that number. I don't know. It just gives us a chance to revisit it. I do wonder, and just throw out there, obviously it's the commission as a whole's decision. It's still a lot of animals when you include breeding, even when you give them 40. If
That's
it's
what I
30
was
rabbits, it's still a lot of animals. So is that the right number? I'm asking the question. I'm not sure I have all the
Right.
answers like you said either, Patrick. I do feel like from our conversations, the chickens seem to be less of a importance to the applicant than the rabbits. Do we drop that number a little bit more to keep the overall numbers down? Just another thought. I know, we had an answer and I just complicated it.
So just for clarification for
Yeah.
my thought, because I see where you guys are going. But you guys are talking 40 total animals. But is that including the offspring?
40 total adults.
40 total
Adults?
because we, you know, there's such a variable. Could be 2, could be 12.
Could be 30.
And it does time limit it because you're only a baby for a while.
Right.
Right. Right. Okay.
And I mean, if again, I don't want to, I hate to see them have to get rid
I
of
know,
the
I know,
animals,
I
right?
know.
But again, if it reduces over time, right? So is there a way to approve it and then once it
If he had
phases
come
out?
in, it would be an easy cut and dry. I know you can't have more than, but he's already got them, so it's tough on us.
Right, but even the breeding portion of it, right? I mean, it's tough. It's, the breeding portion is tough,
Right.
you know, because it's a lot of rabbits and it's actually a decent amount of time. So,
In the middle of heat.
right, well, you know, and it's just more, we're actually approving quite a bit more animals.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, so like, you know, is there a way to allow it to keep going, what's existing, but that it phases out, you know, and I know that's hard to do. I don't know how to put that, you know, but then it would be, you know, at least they're attached to it now, but over time, they're gonna lose them and they're not going to replace them, so then it gets back down to what, you know, what I guess would be, allowable or make some kind of sense, I guess. It's a lot of animals. That's it. I mean, I'm just stuck on that. It's a lot of animals.
So could there be like a date certain commencement where it says it reverts to a max of 20 rabbits? Right, and January 1st, 2030,
You have to have a maximum.
it reduces to max 20 rabbits. And then you can, you know, over time, not replace them. And at that point,
Shin, does this have to be voted on tonight? I know I don't like to extend things, but sometimes something like this, it might help.
No, it does not have to be voted on tonight. I think so you have, once it's closed, there's another 65 days to render a decision.
And,
Close the hearing.
and then we would be able to share a version of a motion with you or conditions, I should say.
Oh.
And then you would spread them and that would give us more time. I don't, maybe that's
Maybe
a
that's
better
the way to
idea.
go.
Just,
That's
I mean, yeah, a good
And
plan.
wordsmithing and crafting.
Yeah,
on
because
the
I don't want to
fly.
get this wrong, I guess,
Right,
you know, and it's hard to sit here and look at each other and get it right.
Right,
right.
right.
I mean, we could be here all night, but
Exactly.
so,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, I would feel most comfortable
I
myself.
would too.
I agree.
Getting
I
that
think
read
that's-
from the rest of the
Yeah.
commission as well,
We can
so.
pool our notes together and
Yep.
come up with a
Yeah.
proper wording that we all feel comfortable with.
So, yeah, just everything has to get sent in to me and then I can compile it
Right,
and get it back out to the commission.
Okay,
okay. All right, yeah.
all right, good idea, Patrick. So we'll make a motion to continue,
It's your table.
table,
decision.
table.
We're gonna table the decision to the next meeting. Yep.
Do we need to make that as an official?
Don't we have, we're in
We have
an
a
open
motion on the
motion
table.
now.
Right.
Oh, yeah, right.
So we're rescinding the motion because we have a motion on the table in second.
So there was a motion and a second. So you can rescind them, just rescind the motion.
Okay.
And then you can make a motion to continue this. It's the top, the item is going to continue to the next meeting.
Okay. I would like to rescind my motion.
Second,
And then simply a
then we'll
motion to
table.
continue to the next meeting.
I would like to make a motion to continue this item to the next meeting, which I don't know the date of right now.
February
11, 12.
12th.
Till, to continue this until our meeting of February 12th, 2024.
second,
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, next application is from Muxo Kakrak. Application for special permit for home business, commercial kitchen at 864 Plainville Avenue.
Hey, then folks, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. So we are actually applying for a Class B commercial kitchen license for my residents currently, and we would like to, actually, I want to pass it out to you folks. It might be a little more in detail what we're trying to do here.
So our goal is in the commercial kitchen is to prepare meals for families. They don't have to be hot. They are delivered from a different company called Chef. And we specialize in gluten-free, sugar-free. So we're really trying to help certain families in the area that don't really get those kinds of meals out. And they can be delivered in family size or individual. And there's 2 deliveries during the day. One is at 11.
Yep.
And the other one is at 2. We're looking Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, not doing it on weekends. We do not expect to have more than 2 pickups and maybe 2 other deliveries, say from like Amazon. So not really looking to have anybody come in to our driveway. And the maximum we would ever do would be 50 meals. So we're looking to start with 10, real small. Yuxel's been a chef for over 30 years. And just recently, the restaurant he was working at closed. So that's why we decided we have a lot of
Well, experience.
and customers that are looking for this kind of cuisine. So it's something that's already out there, was out there, and we're just looking to see if you guys would agree to have us continue what was there.
Was in planning about almost about 6 or 7 years. It's been working and planning. But it seemed to be a Farmington, our current home right now seems to be a perfect place because it's centrally located and we have a double driveway, which we're not gonna try to add more traffic to what we have right now. And the companies allowing us to control our times when we can actually get the food to be out to public without causing not more traffic than much earlier. Trying to provide a better quality food for our community especially, and you guys can see from the pamphlet, it's a great company and they really have such a great, focus, and I will continue to help that.
Yeah, we specifically want to work with this company. That's why we brought it. So they really know what they're doing, and they have other commercial kitchens all over the United States. They just don't have one in Farmington yet. So that's why we're here, seeing if it's something you would agree to.
Of course, the assistance of the health department. We gotta
Yeah.
Get the kitchen. set
Once
up
we
the way
get
it
this,
should
then
be.
we go to the health department,
Yeah.
and make sure it's all in compliance with them.
Yep.
And Yuxel does have a business license, so we figured that would come up.
All right, thank you. I'll turn it over for questions. Matt?
A few for you here. Delivery, you said, just what, Amazon? Or are you gonna get deliveries from like food trucks?
Just a
Well,
normal delivery, if you order something like.
Yeah,
you do
we
it
were
for
thinking like the
your own home.
containers, the
Alright.
specific containers. They're so easy to get through Amazon, they would just drop them off for us, so.
What about your raw materials coming in?
We would go out and get
That's
those.
for-
Okay, so you just shop for yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
the Hartford
Yep.
food.
Restaurant Depot,
Restaurant Depot.
Waterbury and Hartford, there's a few locations there.
Yeah.
Okay, but no like refrigerator trucks pulling up to the
Oh,
house?
no.
Okay,
No,
all right.
it's gonna be very small scale, as you can see, we're just new
Yeah.
to this, and then hopefully eventually when we have enough momentum, love to be able to move them out of the house and get the independent location where it actually like turn into a actual facility.
Yeah, we didn't want to start that big project. I did not want to start that big project.
I mean, as you guys.
I wanted to see how committed he
Is-
was with something small.
This past few years, the Pennsylvania restaurant closed down because its operating cost is so expensive. Restaurant, I was working in Plainville in Kiki's Kitchen.
Mm.
After just about a year open, they just closed down.
Yeah,
all
after
sudden.
they just started really thriving. We realized it was a lot of work, which it is, so we agreed. We didn't want to do that.
Yeah,
What about employees or helpers? Is it just gonna be you?
but at the moment, it's gonna be just ourselves, two of us.
Yeah, it's pretty
and then-
small
and then
scale.
I
It's
think
just us.
max maybe another person to help out, but that's gonna be really all it is.
Yeah.
Because it's a very small scale, and then more focus on quality versus quantity, because I want to really serve a better food for the people than pull the driveway somewhere else and drop the wallet off and go home. You don't know what you eat, you don't know what you eat.
Yeah, well, thank you both.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Bobby? Thanks, Matt.
No, I think it's a great idea. I think everybody's looking for healthy alternatives, and you're right, there's not a lot of gluten and
Yeah,
and
gluten.
stuff like that out there. You had mentioned that they're gonna be picking up twice a day.
Yeah.
They
we-
can pick
11
up
and
for
1 or
lunch.
something.
Yeah, we get to pick up the hours that we want. It's best for us, and for me, for us, we are right by the 7-7, pretty busy traffic, and so 11 o'clock seemed to be a lot quieter
Yeah.
during the day, in the afternoon, right before
2
the
o'clock.
school bus started coming
Quieter.
in, so we get them in and out, so
Mm.
there'd be no distraction to the.
And when they come to pick up the food, it's probably gonna be like a minivan or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
You said what, 10 to 50 meals?
Maximum.
Maximum. would be
Max.
Yeah.
50, probably
Maximum.
10 to 15 to start with, and then mostly friends and family in the beginning, and hopefully
Yeah,
they'll catch on.
yeah.
Okay. Um, And then I noticed in your letter request, and it might just be a typo. So this is a permanent business you're looking for. This isn't a temporary thing. Because you wrote in there that your cruise was gluten-free. So I'm like, is this only a temporary thing? Or was that a typo?
But it is going to be temporary, like I was saying, once we build this up to something that we can sustain us, and I would like to move this out of the house to have my own standard location where I can actually call it a business, you know what I mean? I think this is just kind of.
Yeah,
like
because
trial.
like
But-
right there, it says purpose because my cruise is strictly gluten-free and allergy. So I didn't know if you were going on a cruise and just stockpiling your food to go on the cruise.
Oh, no, that's.
Or how you will
It's a type.
Cuisine. He's European.
cuisine. Gotcha. Okay.
Lives in Europe.
Now we got
Gotcha. Now it makes
Yeah,
sense.
over
Okay,
here.
perfect.
Yeah, maybe-
No,
Catch that one.
all right. I think it's a great idea. Good luck with it.
Thank
You know, with more and more allergies out there, I think people
Yeah,
need a
yeah.
healthy alternative.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get a feeling on like what type of garbage is produced. I'm assuming
Okay.
maybe maybe I buy too much processed food, right? But one frozen pizza produces more garbage than food. But anyway, so does this produce quite a bit? Like I know restaurants have dumpsters and stuff. Are you guys still gonna
Not
be able?
exactly, because, I mean, I do cook for a family. Sometimes we have 15, 20 people, and there's really not much of a trash. And this is gonna be a scale where it's a little bit different than a normal restaurant setting, because I don't know if you know, if you ever been in a restaurant, there's so much, like you were saying, so much cardboard boxes. I'm gonna go buy stuff myself,
Mhm.
go to local farmers, help them grab what they have. It'll be pretty much just the plastic bags. It'll be prepped and then cooked and then cooled down proper temperature. And then it will be served to, I guess, customers. So hopefully that's really minimum of trash, most of fruits and vegetables.
Right. Yeah, so you're still working out of the same trash can that's provided by the
Yes.
town.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yep, that's it.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. Liz?
Well, you guys asked a lot of my questions, so thank you very much. It does sound like an intriguing proposition and definitely a niche for that and a market for that. So good luck.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Dave?
Yeah, I would second that too. I was gonna ask a question about waste. Thanks for taking that. And so we would be getting permission for the home business and you're going through the health
Yeah,
department.
of course, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. How many days are you gonna run?
5.
3 to 5 days of stuff, and I don't want to kill myself, you know.
5
Yeah.
max.
If I can promise I can deliver, it's almost, there's no point in doing it, so I'm gonna start it slow. The quality, like I said, quality is gonna be the most important, and then trying to make it affordable, so anyone should be able to order their food, not just because of, that's the goal.
And you're thinking weekdays, Monday
Yeah,
through Friday?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Bruce?
Like my fellow commissioners, I think your business is intriguing and exciting. I guess my question is, assuming you're going to be super successful and, I think there's a niche for this, at what point does your business grow where it's too unwieldy to do with the strategy that you have? You're talking about 15 meals, it grows to 30, 60,
Right, yeah,
150. If we were to approval is
right.
given. So what would be the upper volume limit before you'd have to?
Well, I can
rejig
probably
things?
tell you, let's say if I'm gonna prep 50 meal today, and each meal takes about 25 to 40 minutes to prepare. So I'm gonna be doing mass amount of food, so I'm gonna be cooking large amount of trays, the chickens, the rice, whatever it may be, and they'll all be prepped. And then, like you were saying, after a certain amount, if I can take any more orders, that's a sign for the possibly delayed operation, and then looking for the next, because that's really what we want to do, because we don't want to just go out and get a location, start this and get another open to that, and if it doesn't make it, what are you gonna do? And then as soon as this, like you were saying, as soon as this is actually started becoming something that I can control on my own, looking for a location to possibly move the business. That's really the main goal, because I worked for Panera 11 years. I worked for their general manager. Before that, I worked for Olive Garden about 8 years on a kitchen manager and chef. And they had this opportunity that they aren't able to, they don't listen to us because we're not the CEO of the company. There are so many places that could potential of you can actually have a location where you don't have a customer coming in for buy food. It's just a pickup locations. You just come grab food and leave. There's actually, you don't need a service, you don't need anybody up front. So that's gonna be the kind of almost like a hub location. So anyone can just come grab meal and leave. There's no dining room, there's nothing. Just pretty much like a factory. Just like this.
So 50 would be your answer. 50, I'm sending him out to, yeah, professional building.
Appreciate it. Guys are great. I'm done.
You're good. Okay, Mike?
Yeah, mine kind of piggybacks off of my question after Bruce. If you guys are successful, and I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you.
I noticed you guys are kind of close to the community college. Consider maybe there are times where I know a lot of people are commuters through Townsend that may, you know, if you have more trucks coming in and out.
Right, yeah.
Of your home.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Well, we are definitely gonna limit to 4 a day, so 2 pickup and maybe 1 or 2 Amazon deliveries, and those are gonna be more the containers we need, so it's gonna be kind of few and far between, but we really don't want this to be overwhelming for our neighbors, for the traffic, and for ourselves especially. So that would be the maximum, and we picked the 11 o'clock because we noticed traffic slows down then, and 2 o'clock. Because 3 o'clock seems to be the backup and that light, so we want to make sure they're in and out by 2.
Good, Mike? Kyle, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. So you mentioned the neighbors. Have you had conversations with the neighbors at all about
Yes,
plans?
they have poultry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're getting.
That answers that question.
Poultry.
Okay. And no signage, you're not talking about.
No
any
signage.
No signage, yep.
Okay. And Shannon, I noticed there's a comment in the agenda about the agenda review about this. Is it a case where we can limit it just to this applicant versus to the property? Am I understanding that right?
It's how the home business regulation is written in the regulation.
Okay. But we would, if we wanted to do that, would we have to make a motion that includes?
You'd say just consistent with the regulation, that's fine.
Okay.
Consistent with the.
Okay. Okay. All right, I think that's it for me. Thank you for your presentation. It sounds like a great idea. This is a public hearing, so I want to give the public an opportunity. If there's anybody in the room that would like to speak for or against this application. No. Shannon, anybody online?
If anyone is called in online to offer comment on the application for 864 Plainville Avenue for home business for commercial kitchen, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. You'll be acknowledged to address the commission. Again, if anyone's called in for the public hearing for 864 Plainville Avenue for the home business commercial kitchen, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom to offer comment. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions for the applicant? Ready to close the hearing? All right, hereby close the public hearing. Thank you. Can we get a motion and a second?
Sure.
Anybody?
So, yeah, so what would we say exactly in the motion for the, you know, to approve for one individual applicant, right? Or however.
It would be just that. So I copied in, so that last paragraph is an exact copy of the regulation. So it says the commission may also limit the grant of such approval to one individual applicant. So you could just, it would state on the record that it's limited to this.
Okay, so it's on the record, so we don't really need it as a,
Well, you would add it in as part, so you're approving if you're looking to approve or formulate the motion in the affirmative to approve.
Yep.
With the stipulation that it is limited to this applicant.
Okay.
Specifically, as presented to this applicant as presented on the
Okay.
record.
okay. And that's the only, yeah, and then as presented, we'll pretty much cover the 2 employees. Okay.
No more than 2, right?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application by Yuxil Karak for special permit for home business, a commercial kitchen located at 864 Plainville Avenue in an R20 zone, R20, R30 zone, with the following condition that it is limited to this particular applicant.
Second.
Thanks, Dave. Any discussion? Everybody's good? No, we're voting on, comfortable voting?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
All right. Our,
So excited. 7 years in the.
our
making.
next application is Douglas Nash, application for special permit to raise 17 poultry at 18 Fairview Drive.
I believe Mr. Nash is on the phone.
Okay.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. If you could, Mr. Nash, go ahead and introduce yourself and then explain to the commission what you are requesting with your application briefly. And then, as you've heard with other applicants, they will follow up with any questions.
So Douglas Nash, 18 Fairview Drive. Currently have 17 hens in, you can see on my property where they're currently located. They are attached to a 20 by 30 garden. So in the off season of gardening, like right now, they have the full run of the space. In another photo, you can see the run directly right here, attached to the left of the coop. That's their summer home, for lack of a better phrase. And then my feed storage bin, metal locked container off the ground. Only reason it's not locked is because the lock froze this weekend with the temperatures. I had it off during the photo. 17 hens, 7 of them are bantams. I don't know what you know about chickens, but those are basically mini chickens. They're half the size of regular hens, so half the waist, half the feed, half the size of the egg. It's mainly for the eggs and hobby between son, my wife, and myself. It's really
Anything else to offer, or you're all set?
I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. All right, turning it over to the commissioners for questions. Matt?
Okay, so these chickens are currently on the parcel.
Yes.
Okay, it's hard to tell from this diagram here. Is this in compliance with all the conditions, Shannon?
You would have to ask I don't know the answer to that question, so the applicant will have to answer
Okay.
that. And I
Yes.
haven't received, the applicant received a copy of the agenda review, and I did not receive a specific response. from
Okay, so you've had an opportunity to look at the agenda review with the conditions 1 through 5?
Yeah, so the 10 feet off the property line, that's all, that's met. My coop sizes are the size of the coops required. And I think that was really it. All my waste goes into the garden itself is just active compost. I believe those, I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you hit the most of them there. And it's at least 10 feet from any lot line?
Yes. I only have 2 lots. I have woods behind.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Bobby?
Yeah, no questions.
Okay, Patrick?
Yeah, so the coop, that is the coop, and then the fenced in area. There's no regulation on that, right? I mean, it's just gotta be fenced in, but in terms of size, so I know so on the agenda review, it's 50 square feet. And then no more than 10 feet high on the coop. Okay, and so that there, I'm assuming is 50 square feet, so 5 by 10.
No,
Roughly.
that's smaller than that. I mean, it's 5 by 6 at best.
Okay, so it sounds like you're already in compliance with these conditions that I'm assuming we're gonna put, so you're okay with all those, just to be clear.
Absolutely.
Okay, no more questions, thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Liz?
No, it looks good. No questions.
Dave?
Yeah, more curiosity. Why 17? Why not the 20?
We started with 6 and hobby took over, more so interest on. Then the Bantams was the excuse, so we had 12. We got to 6 last spring. So it's just a
You're
weird
pretty much
number.
asking.
No rhyme or reason.
Okay.
Bruce,
No questions.
Mike,
No questions.
and Kyla.
No questions.
Okay, I don't have any questions either, so any further questions for the applicant?
It's a question, I guess it's for Shannon. It says the motion says raise up to 17, so would that limit it? So they can't have up to 20?
The applicant has requested 17, so that's what their application was for 17.
Okay.
Okay, good question.
And this, as with any application where the hens are already on the property, this is a result of a call coming into the planning office and us reaching out, asking them to bring their hobby, their chickens into compliance. And so their application is for.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, so this is a public hearing. So we'd like to give the public in the room an opportunity to speak for or against this application. Okay, Shannon, anybody online?
Again, if anyone has called in to offer comment on the application for 18 Fairview Drive for the raising of poultry, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. You'll be acknowledged to address the commission. If anyone's called in for the public hearing application for 18 Fairview Drive for the raising of 17 poultry, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom to address the commission. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Okay, thanks, Shannon. Any other questions for the applicant before I close? Okay, public hearing's closed. Can we get a motion in a second, please?
I'm gonna do it.
Sure.
Okay.
You're on a roll.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application presented by Douglas Nash for special permit to raise 17 poultry at 18 Fairview Drive in an R20 zone with the conditions that are listed in the agenda review, which are 1 through 6, I believe. 1 through 5, 1 through 5.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Good, everybody's ready to vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next applications from Carrie Courier, application for special permit to raise 13 poultry at 35 Fairview Drive.
Chair.
About the neighbor.
Chair, before we get started.
Yes.
There's no financial gain, but we are close friends, so if you want me to recuse myself, I can.
It's Commissioner Canto, it's your choice.
Yeah.
So really, it's completely your choice.
I'm putting it out to you guys, whatever you feel comfortable with. I have no problem being impartial, but.
Okay. It's up to you, Bob.
Okay.
If you could please state your name and address for the record and.
Sure, Carrie Courier at 35 Fairview Drive.
Okay.
Requesting the 13 hens that we do currently have on property.
And there were no photos submitted, so I don't have any photos.
Okay. Can you walk us through where they're located and the coop
Sure.
and size and all those kinds of things that,
Sure, I think it's like very similar to Doug's
Okay.
size, where the coop itself, I'd say it's definitely less than 50 square feet. And it's, I think it's like 9 feet high. It's part of that, he built it according to those dimensions on that plan. And it follows the 10-foot, where I think we're like 12 feet away from one side and then a lot more towards the rear.
Okay, we'll turn it over for questions. Matt?
No questions.
Oh, Bobby?
No questions.
Patrick?
So again, same thing as the other one, you meet all those same exact conditions, right? They're already compliant with with all
Correct.
5 of those?
Mhm.
Okay, no questions.
Liz?
Looks good, but why is Fairview Drive? Chicken.
I think there are a lot of people besides this that are already approved also. So I think it's maybe contagious.
I just find it interesting that on the same night we have 2 from the same road.
Well, I think because someone did call in, so they came through
Okay.
and saw
Well, I'm
our
glad
visible coop
everyone's
from the street.
getting their chickens
In
in
a
a
row.
row as opposed to their ducks. No, I
See what she
think
did.
that's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Dave?
I guess I would think about waste. What are you doing with the waste on your property?
So very similar to Doug, we're avid gardeners, so it's for the gardens.
No other questions?
Okay, Bruce?
No questions.
Mike?
No questions.
And Kyla?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions either, so we'll open it for public comment. Anybody in the room wish to make comment for or against this application? I figured. There's not many people in the room. Danny?
Again, if anyone's called in to offer comment on the application at 35 Fairview Drive for the raising of 13 hens, please raise your hand. Using the feature in Zoom, you'll be acknowledged to address the commission. One more time, if anyone's called in at 35 Fairview Drive to offer comment on the application for 13 hens, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there's no hands raised.
Thank you, Shannon. And thank you. Any last questions? Okay, to close the hearing? Okay. Hereby close the public hearing. Can we get a motion and a second, please?
I got this one. I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for a special permit to raise 13 poultry by Carrie Courier at 35 Fairview Drive in our 20 zone with the noted, what am I trying? With the conditions, thank you.
There's 5.
With the 5 conditions noted in the agenda review.
Was that a second, Bob? Okay, thank you. Any discussion?
Just one. The process to apply is so easy. It'd be great if we could get it out there for everybody to just go through the application rather than be caught.
I wonder if most people start with like 1 or 2 and then it kind of grows from
Someone
there.
gets it.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
6, you don't need it.
Yeah.
I bet. Someone's kid says, "Have a chicken."
Any other thoughts? Ready to vote? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna have trouble with his name. Ki Wan Chen, application for special permit for personal service shop nail salon at 902 Farmington Avenue.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah. My name is Q Junten, and I'm here to request to open a nail salon at 902 Farmington Avenue. And the nail salon is based on the like a appointment. And yeah, so hopefully we can get approved tonight. Thank you.
And the property owner, the representative for the property owner is on the phone as well. Just
Okay.
as an FYI for the commission in case there are questions. I'm having trouble driving at the moment. I'm talking and trying to get to, here we go, the right location at the same time.
So as the agenda review noted, it's the former design forum building next to Modern Tire. Just from a point of reference and orientation.
Okay.
But I do believe Mr. Amenta is on the phone if needed.
Okay, thanks, Shannon. All right, commissioner questions? Matt?
I think you addressed this in your application, but the number of employees and customers, can you just expand upon that a bit?
When the salon first opened, we were planning like to have the 4 employee at the beginning. And then normally for the like a nail salon business, it take a little bit of time to increase the customer. So at the beginning, we planning to have 3 or 4 employee when we first open. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Bobby?
What are your hours of operation gonna be?
So, like at the first year, my plan is like, Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 7:30. And, Saturday it's gonna be 9:30 to 6:30. Sunday gonna be 10 o'clock to 5:30. So, so we're gonna open 7 days a week during the summer. And, the second year, we might close 1 day on winter time. So we will see. And the hour is gonna be at the first I'm told you, like, it's gonna be the same hour time. Just only at the second year or later on, we might close 1 day on, winter time, but summertime, we're gonna open 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Yeah,
Okay, and you're gonna have 3 to 4 employees?
yes.
Okay, and you said it's by appointment only, no walk-ins?
We're not gonna take walk-in. So, because like we planning to do appointment only at this area. And, also because for the service, it takes times. It depends what kind of service the customer request. So, so all the appointment, I need to know all the detail what they want, so I can put down like all the scheduling on my book. So like it's basically on appointment. So, I'm not gonna saying we're not taking any walk-ins. So if they walk in, we will see the available. But we gonna let all the customer know that we are appointment based. So in the future, they not just walk in, they will always call me to see if there's available for them.
Okay.
Yes.
And you have enough parking for this? You've already talked to your landlord? You've already figured out the parking for everybody?
So far, like, I think he submit the picture too for the parking. Right now showing is 15 parking for us. And, our employee gonna use the carpool. So my employee gonna use the carpool, so we need like two parking for us. And then also, we're gonna sign a share parking agreement with my landlord. So he gonna share his parking for me when we are getting busy. Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm good for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Patrick?
Yeah, just touching back on the number of employees. So you said you're gonna start with 4
Yes.
in the beginning?
Yes.
And then what do you visualize that's gonna grow to? How many employees if, let's say, everything is going great?
So my goal is gonna be 7 to 8 employee. So that's my goal. And, again, we're gonna do, if the business increase, we need to like have 8 employees, we're still gonna do the carpool, like 2 car, like 4 for each. So we still just need like a 2 car for us for parking. So my goal is 8
Okay.
employee.
Okay, so yeah, so you're gonna have 15 minus 2, so you'll have 13 parkings for customers roughly, and then does they shared not shared, but the agreement, the parking agreement, how many is that? So all those 15 are dedicated to you, and then is it that you're gonna share other ones? Is that how it is?
So, is my Leno online, right?
Correct.
So can he explain this part for you guys?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
Mr. Armenta, are you on the line?
I'm on the line. Can you hear me?
Yep, go right ahead. There's
Okay,
a
beautiful.
question, the shared parking, if you heard it, and just if
Yes.
you, rather than
Yeah.
read the whole the record, it'd be.
Right. No, that's fine. I can speak to that. So fortunately, the busier times for the nail salon business are the times that are not as busy for us. So I happen to own the property itself. It's one parcel, and I own Modern Tire, the business as well. Our busy times are drop-offs in the morning, which we open at 7 in the morning. So we'll have a busy drop-off period, which is prior to the nail salon's opening. And then throughout the day, as we finish cars, they are picked up throughout the day. So our end of the day drops off in terms of our need for parking and the amount of flow through our business. So I'm able, as the owner of Modern Tire, to share my spaces with the nail salon and not impede our business.
Okay, so the shared ones would be, so you see, so on the screen, you have the ones that are in black. Those are not shared. Those are exclusive to the business, this nail salon. And then the other ones in the rear of the building, are those the ones that you're gonna share? And is there like a certain number, or is it?
Yeah, so all the rear spaces would be able to be shared during the course of the week, and any operation of the nail salon outside of the Modern Tire hours. For instance, she's open later till 7:30 at night. We close at 6. She's open on Sundays. We're not open on Sundays. So every space would be available to the nail salon at that point in time.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you for the clarification.
Thanks, Patrick.
Sure.
Liz?
I think all my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Dave?
Same with me.
Bruce?
In my whole life, I don't think I've ever been in a nail salon, so if my question is stupid, please forgive me. But are there any chemicals involved with the business that require special handling or dangerous in any way?
No, not really. So, no chemical. Yeah.
Okay.
There is licensing with Farmington Valley Health, just as a FYI. So as a salon, any of the salons are licensed with Farmington Valley Health.
Understood. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Mike?
No questions.
And Kyla?
No questions.
Thank you. And I don't believe I have any. I think mine were asked as well, so thank you. This is a public hearing, so I want to give the public an opportunity if there's anybody in the room that would like to speak for or against this application. There's nobody left in the room. Shannon, anybody online?
We're almost at the same online. If anyone is called in online to offer comment on the special permit application for a salon at 902 Farmington Avenue, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. You'll be acknowledged to address the commission. Okay, one more time. If anyone's called in to offer comment on the special permit application for a salon at 902 Farmington Avenue, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Thank you. Okay, we ready to, any other questions for the applicant before we close?
No.
Okay, I hereby close the public hearing. Any discussion? Actually, let's get a motion in a second first.
Sure. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application by Q1 Chen for special permit for personal service shop, a nail salon at 902 Farmington Avenue in the FP zone.
Second.
Thanks, Matt. Any discussion? What? No? Ready to vote? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Best of luck to you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. So next we have John Sinise application for 2-lot subdivision of 222 Talcott Notch Road.
and we've got Brian Panico is on the phone.
Yeah. Yes, for the record, Brian Panico, with Harry Cole and Son, 876 876 South Main Street in Plantsville. So this is 222 Talcott Notch Road. This is the same parcel that came before you last year for a 6-lot subdivision. Since then, some other interests have gotten involved, and Mr. Sinise is now looking to reconfigure this subdivision. Instead of putting in a road and doing 6 lots, an interested party is looking for one slightly larger lot, and this house as well. So we're coming back before you to reduce that to a 2-lot subdivision, which will maintain the existing house and all of its amenities on one parcel. That parcel will be reduced to 13.67 acres, so still very large. And the subdivided out parcel will be 2.51 acres, or 109,336 square feet. The existing septic system for lot 1, this is going to be on well and septic. The existing septic system for lot 1 is being highlighted now. It does meet the regulations, and then we have proposed a new location for a septic system and well on that new lot. We have received comments from town staff, which we are very confident we can address and work with staff on those as well. So again, in an effort, we think that this plan moving forward, as compared to the previously approved 6 lots, there was quite a bit of neighbor interaction at these previous hearings for that. A lot of concern about runoff, traffic, and the impacts that 6 lots might have on this area. We feel that obviously reducing that down to just 1 additional lot substantially reduces almost all of those concerns as well. There is still concern from staff about some of the runoff from the proposed driveway. We're confident that working with staff, we can come up with a solution, whether it be a small rain garden to intercept some of the runoff from the driveway, some regrading to intercept some of the runoff from the driveway before it gets to Talcott Notch Road as well. So with that being said, that pretty much sums up this application, and I'd be happy to answer any questions from the commission.
Thank you. All right, Matt, any questions?
All right, so it sounds like that application from July, lot 1 and 2 are basically being taken up by this new subdivision lot. So from that original proposal. So I think it's decent sized lot. I don't really see any issues that we had to face with the previous application. I was curious if this driveway is going to meet up directly with the Northrop Lane, something? Northington Way. But does it run directly into that? How does that work, Brian?
No, it does not. It is slightly offset.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Northington Way driveway, I believe, is just to the south of where this new proposed driveway is. Not by much, but it is a little further south.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Bobby?
No, I mean, we already approved the 6, and I'm sure the neighbors are gonna be a lot happier with only having 2, not 6. So yeah, I have no problems with it.
Okay, Patrick?
Same.
Okay. Liz?
Looked good. The only thing was the existing septic. It looked close to the new side lot line. That's still in compliance and everything.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's usually it's the downslope of the septic system that we're more concerned with, as that would be the area which the leaching would travel. But in this case, we're, I believe, 18 feet as is being highlighted there. The requirement is 15.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Dave,
No questions.
Bruce,
No questions.
Mike,
No questions.
and Kyla.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. I also don't have any questions. It is a public, well, there's nobody in the room. Is there anybody online, Shannon?
So if anyone online has called in to offer comment on the application for 222 Talcott Notch Road for the 2-lot subdivision, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. You'll be acknowledged to address the commission. Again, if anyone has called in to offer comment on 222 Talcott Notch Road, 2-lot subdivision, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. You'll be acknowledged to address the commission. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Okay, thank you, Shannon. I realize I do have one question, and I think it's for you, Shannon. Are you comfortable that the water, whatever water concerns there are related to the driveway can be worked out?
I am.
Okay,
First, Sarah and I have looked at the plan and what we're considering, and I reviewed it with Mr. Panico earlier today, is the thought of getting a rain garden or some type of
Yeah.
feature between the driveway and the roadway to assist in collecting that sheet flow runoff. Anyone that's driven any of our mountain roads up in that quadrant
Yeah.
over the last few weeks will notice really anywhere in Connecticut where you've got a hill that water is bleeding out. We've had excessively wet winter or wet year, and now we're seeing it in the winter where that water is bleeding out and then freezing. So we're just going to try to get an area of collection and then perhaps get it to connect into this pipe to the north in system. So we think between a little bit of a settling area and then an overflow connection, it should be fine.
okay, and I can't remember, was that in the engineering comments? Do you need us to add it as a condition? Okay,
No, oh, and we do have a hand raised. So, no, it's part of the engineering comment.
okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
the engineering comments, we went through and did a full review of this as we would any application. So, yeah. But there is a hand raised if you're interested in entertaining that.
Absolutely.
Mr. Coyne, you should be able to unmute your microphone if you could identify yourself with your name and property address and address your comments to the commission.
Hi, can you hear me, Shannon?
Yep, we can. Sure.
Hi.
Go right ahead.
Thank you for allowing the question, and I think you answered part of the question, but I guess one question related to because I think there was a home that's being built south of Mr. Sinisa's property, and there was a lot of water runoff. So if I understand what you just said correctly, is the town will take that into consideration in terms of what they will require when the construction begins, or if and when the construction begins, to manage that kind of water runoff?
Correct. We're looking to get some type of rain garden between the driveway and the roadway edge to manage a portion of that runoff. Obviously, with some of the rain events, so some of what all of us saw through the course of September, there was a 3 to 4 inch storm that came through in the middle of September, but it came through in about a 2-hour time frame, which equates to a 200 to 500 year storm event. And there is not a stormwater management element anywhere that would be able to handle that. Unfortunately, it's just one of those elements that we're having to contend with. So, but yes, there is, as part of the engineering review comments, a consideration for managing the runoff from the driveway to minimize and eliminate /eliminate impacts to Talcott Notch.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you. We're good on, no
There
more
are
hands raised?
At this point,
Okay,
there's no other hands raised, correct? At this point, yes.
okay. Other questions for the applicant? Anybody?
No.
Ready to close the hearing? Okay, hereby close the public hearing. Let me get a motion and a second, please.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the application for a 2-lot subdivision of 222 Talcott Notch Road by John Sinise. Oh, I'm actually not reading the right official one. No, I am. Yes. I didn't say in an R80 zone. Do I need to say that?
Here's a, yep.
Okay, in the R80 zone.
Second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
So Shannon, we didn't go back to that earlier new
We
business.
can, and Brianna had popped in at one point, and now Brianna.
Okay.
I can show you folks, if you're satisfied, then fine, and if not, then
Okay,
Ms. Sinise can get on the call, and we have a 3-week cycle this time, Commissioners, so you're gonna enjoy, rather than a
Mhm.
2-week cycle, it's a 3-week. So at 30 Tambark Trail, the property is it functions as a through lot, meaning that it has frontage on Tambark Trail, but the backyard comes right out to Plainville Avenue.
Mhm.
So there's Tambark Trail, this portion is under construction. You'll all be happy to know, we should be hopefully getting new aerial mapping, for 2023. It's in the current budget anyhow, so we've requested it. So all these homes that we all know are there will now finally start showing up on our mapping. At any rate, the lovely house at 30 Tambark that is under construction, the homeowners requested of Mr. Sinise the installation of a fence along the Plainville Ave frontage. And our fence regulation indicates that if you are within the yard setback, that it can't be greater than 4 feet in height. Of course, given the location, understandably, the homeowner would prefer a 6-foot fence.
Mhm.
So the request is along this frontage, a 6-foot, I believe they're planning to put in a vinyl stockade fence. It will be a stockade type fence. Our concern was the snow throw off of Plainville Avenue. The edge of Plainville Avenue, you can see it in the aerial, the white striped line, most of us, I think, have driven down it frequently. Some of us get the pleasure of doing it daily. So the edge of Plainville Avenue is approximately 15 feet to the property line ish. This is 18. I rounded down. I think I called it 15 in the agenda review. And then they are asking, I know the plan I just had up showed 10 feet, but they measured 10 feet from the silt fence line, not the property line on the sketch. So they're roughly another 15 feet from the property line for the fence line. So it would be 30 feet from the edge of travelway from Plainville Avenue. It should be, I think it's a reasonable request given the location. I don't think it's at risk to regular damage from snow plows. That's the request.
Is it in the wooded? I looked at the map too, Shannon. Is it in a wooded area, the fence, or is it fully
No,
exposed?
it's right now, it's been cleared pretty much right out to
Okay.
the property line. Here we go. Here's some photos. I forgot she sent me photos. So those 2 traffic cones have been there for quite some time because they had to close off there had been an existing home. So the neighboring property is the existing home. And they had to cut the driveway because that home now no longer has a Plainville Avenue address. It has a Tambark Drive address. And so this is basically the view from the backyard. You can see they're standing with their back to the house and this is Plainville Avenue. So a lot of the trees have come out. There are a handful of mature trees. I don't believe they intend to take out any additional trees.
Okay.
that it will be placed to one side or the other or between the trees. You can see this tree, this tree here, I think is too close to the right of way. This tree back here, my guess is the fence is going to be to the street side of this particular tree. But I wouldn't know with 100% certainty. This one, I'm not sure to which side.
Okay. Anybody else have questions?
It was just a straight fence. It wasn't going to, no wraparound, correct? I'm not sure what those green lines mean.
I don't either.
You don't either, okay.
My understanding was it was a straight fence coming
Okay.
through. Once they got past the 25-foot anyway, so
Mhm.
even if they're 15 feet, it would be at most a 10-foot wrap. Once they got past this, they can go by right to they could go by right to 7 or 8 feet, quite honestly.
Oh, okay.
So, it's really just within the yard, the way it's worded, within the yard that fronts on the street, it can't be greater than 4 feet without the commission's review.
Okay.
That's how the reg is worded. So,
Anybody else questions?
No.
Everybody's good? All right. So motion in a second.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for a fence exception by Brianna Sinise located at 30 Ten Bark Trail.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Know what we're voting on? Good to vote?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay.
Planners report.
Report. I'll get to listen to me for a little bit more. I've got, there was one in the agenda review and I'm gonna sneak 2 others in. It's not even 9 o'clock yet, but I mean, this is.
I was expecting to be out of here at 11.
So we got plenty, we've got nothing but time.
Is it about
Do
chicken?
we have to use it up though?
It's not like we have to make
We
it
should
time.
bank it.
Chicken, I can.
Not chicken related?
It is
Yeah.
chicken related.
As long as it doesn't have
I
poultry
don't know.
involved. it
Maybe,
wraps.
maybe we'll just get started an ostrich farm. You know, it's 20 poultry.
Where I grew up there, they had one in a couple of houses down. They had
Ostriches,
ostriches,
emus.
Emus,
Yeah, you can raise emus as poultry.
With applications too.
I didn't know they were poultry. But they're big.
I don't officially know.
Okay, our lovely Epicure Plaza, otherwise known as Starbucks or Naples or whatever your
M&R.
favorite or M&R
You gotta hit them all.
favorite destination. It
hit on
takes on a
something.
number of nomenclatures, and for those of us that did not grow up in the area, you go Epicure Plaza and you get a strange look. So you go Naples and everybody or Starbucks, and so anyway. But this plaza, the owner has presented plans to staff as part of a building permit application to do some renovations to the property, to the building specifically. So not the parking, nothing else. We have pushed a little bit because that's what staff does. At any rate, so what is before you is an aerial view, a plan view, if you will, of Epicure Plaza. So towards the lower left is the door for M&R Liquor. And then in the middle, we have Fork and Fire, the jewelry store, the medical store. We have Starbucks here on the corner. And then we have the Naples entrance in the back right. What he is proposing to do is to so here's our existing elevation, which everybody's familiar with, and we can certainly drill into Google Street View if we need to, but I doubt that's really necessary. So rather plain, traditional mansard roof dating back to 70s, 80s. So what he's looking to do is put in gable entrances on the, I'll say perhaps the more major tenants, at Naples, Starbucks, and at M&R Liquor. And then, and you're seeing it here in the profile view. And then at Fork and Fire, Monarch, and the Lab, there'll be a sign banner. They're doing like a little hip roof just over it to capture the sign for them. And the sign will be permitted separately. So this is for illustrative purposes. We did check the math sufficient to know that it's basically compliant from an area. I didn't want them going to construct something only to find out it's way too big or way too small. So we've looked at it and the math is reasonable. I didn't go through every little iota of it. So this is the old M&R Liquor. This will be the new M&R Liquor. It'll still be sliding, articulating doors. Naples Pizza. This is the old Naples Pizza. Here's the new one. You are still going to come in and enter from the side. So this space that'll face out Farmington Avenue is just going, it'll be windows and you will still enter and then it'll pass right through. It has the opportunity for a pass through, which is evident on the plan side. You can see the door swing on the gable entrance here. So you've got a door here and a door here. You can go right to the back patio. Starbucks, interestingly, is going to shift to this as well. So Starbucks, rather than enter through the front face, Starbucks is also going to enter towards either side along the travelway of the sidewalk. Some of that has to do with minimizing the sidewalk work that has to be done in order to accommodate these and appropriate ADA passage around these entrances. That came into particular consideration with the M&R Liquor one, that initially all of these vestibules, the Naples and Starbucks one are shown as 6 foot 6 inch wide. This M&R Liquor was pulled back to 5 foot 4 inch wide. All of them were 7 feet or 7.5 feet out from the existing face of the building. So all the geometry that I showed prior was the same. It just extended out much further. And it was starting to create a concern with ADA access in and around, which is a little complex at that location. And so they're trying to do what they can with that. With these sign banners and this roof here, so as we come in, catches some of these material call outs. So over the sign banners, there's going to be a metal roofing design on the sign banner. The hip roof will be, or the mansard roof, excuse me, will be an asphalt shingle, a new asphalt shingle. These new little dormers are getting put in, and then some windows, just faux, the windows, dormers, all faux, just a cosmetic enhancement to the building. The paneling on the side is going to be new. It's proposed as hardy plank or similar. And then each of the anchor gables, the hardy plank is going to be a gray, or it's called aged pewter or something to that effect. And then each of the anchor tenants is going to be I'll say like a colonial color, like a deeper, this is referred to as country lane red at Naples. And it's a deeper, almost burgundy or barn red. Starbucks is similar. It's a green call out. They're calling that mountain sage. And the M&R Liquor is a country blue or colonial blue of some type. So again, Booth Bay blue. So it's an enhancement from a color and roof. And with all of that, there is also a lighting upgrade. So I've asked for a photometrics plan. It has not been provided yet, but it will be forthcoming, and it will certainly be in my hands before I sign off for a building permit. And the owner is aware, their lighting consultant just has been backed up. So the existing lighting is going to be taken out, a new LED. Right now, it's a fluorescent light that it's in 20-foot tubes, and they're in a casing that's angled at about a 45-degree and angled in towards the building. And that's what they've agreed to do with these. So they're going to put in it's going to be an LED strip. It's going to be angled in towards the building. I will get a photometrics plan. They will not exceed the 4,000 Kelvin color temperature, which is our normal. And then each of the sign bands also has a light. And it, again, is the same type of thing, that the sign band, it's a continuous LED strip light. It's recessed up into this housing to hold the sign panel, and it's going to be tilted in and directed. And in discussing it with the owner, he understands, one, we don't want it glaring out, because with the geometry and the elevation difference, you don't want it hitting somebody catching that light in their eye as you're driving along Farmington Avenue or making the turn from Garden Street. And the same even with the parking lot. You want that angled in and just tilted just enough so that it's angled towards the building. Certainly providing appropriate lighting on the sidewalks, but that can certainly be achieved without, and still keep that shielded, so we're not looking at strips of light as you're traveling on Farmington Avenue. So with all of that, it is in the B1 zone. It is not in the Farmington Center zone. So there is no design review. It is not in a historic district. It is primarily building cosmetics. There will be sections of sidewalk panel that have to come out in order to get the foundations in for those new entrances. So they're going to have to take out the immediate construction area and then a couple panels to either direction to get that all to blend back in. That's really the extent of the site work and site plan work, is the construction of those panels and certainly the lighting. So with that, the thought is if this is similar to the Jordan's, it's probably in scale and scope similar to what Jordan's was. Jordan's was one tenant of a much bigger plaza mall. This is the entirety of this one that is seen perhaps on a more regular basis. But if you're agreeable and this proceeds as shown, I can address this simply at the staff level of the building permit. If there's any concern with anything, then we can have him make an application and come in.
It's not going to reduce their parking, is it?
No, there's nothing here. Yes, no, I know parking's at a premium, and that's, no, there is nothing. It's all up at the building.
Anything as to timing, when they want to do this?
I have the building permit is in my queue. So, he's basically ready to go. I think he's indicated that it's out to bid, I think. So.
I'm all for
think it-
facelift.
Spruce,
Yeah.
it's time for a
It's
facelift.
needed,
The
yeah.
I think it's gonna
shingles
look great.
Are falling off, and a little variety from those slabs, you know. of
We've also
space.
asked him to consider, given that it's not new, right, it's existing, but if he's going to this trouble to do this, to try to get some type of screening up for the rooftop units. And then
Great.
he initially said yes, and then he had heartache because he realized you can see it, the building, quite a ways distance down Farmington Avenue. I said, really, my primary focus is the frontage of Farmington as you're sitting at that Garden Street light.
Mhm.
So he is taking that under consideration. And I pointed him to the direction of wooden tap. I said, it doesn't have to be a solid panel, even just that metal fencing. It's enough to just soften it and kind of hide it a little bit. So we're not looking at glaring stainless steel at the top, and he may wrap it. So that's something that's under consideration. But again, it's existing. I'm hard pressed to really force that. But he agreed, given I mean, this is quite a facelift they're doing. It would seem
Yeah.
a shame to just
Cool.
stop there and not take into some type of wrap.
Which
I
is
went to
nice. I
a
mean,
big-
it's really, it's the entrance into Farmington, so it's nice to have a facelift, you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of welcoming.
Agreed, so.
How
okay,
much of
good.
a height difference will it be with the old to the new?
We did, so, 19 feet is the new, hang on, they did dimension that for me, because that was one of our questions as well. Dave. Oh, God. I got the Zoom bar, it keeps popping on me, trying to grab things and move around. Oh, they did dimension this. Oh, here it is. So the new peak is 19.1 to the peak. And the existing roof line, it's a couple of feet, so the existing roof line is 16, 17.
3 feet.
So, yeah, 2 to 3 foot pop at those entrances.
And is
They
it
don't want to
shift-
do enough to give it a visual interest and not so much to start to create snow load and wind load challenges.
Yeah.
It's gonna shift their water though.
No, because it's a flat, so it's still a flat, so the roof itself, when you look at it from an aerial, this is still a flat roof, so it's all roof leaders and gutters, and it was just that mansard that was floating, sloping down. We asked him about that, and the architect said that the mansard roof was still coming down, and that drip edge was where it was. And this entrance doesn't really change that much. It actually may offer a little bit more protection. So. Right,
Sounds good.
the consensus is then I can proceed at staff level.
Yep.
That's across the board.
good point.
Okay. All right, next one, do is 1722 New Britain Avenue. We just approved the, storage, facility for the vehicles. It's under construction. We've been
Yep.
out a couple of
Oh, wow.
times.
I've seen that.
It's actually proceeding well. They are looking for a minor modification of the east entrance to the building. So the east entrance, this one.
Which one's this?
So this is the gentleman that is storing cars. So it's the big garage that's storing cars at the property. So it's just south of 1600 and 1690 New Britain Avenue. So here's McPhee
Yeah.
or Phoenix,
Used to be
Scott
free
Swamp.
business.
We come up and
Yep.
so 1722, we will no longer have this. The house is staying as an office and. he's
Yeah, that used to be
constructing
the wood
garage.
guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep. So we approved the garage, and again, everything looks fine. Erosion controls all in. They've actually done a foundation as-built because we were concerned, given that we had 4 inches both to the north and south. They're dead on. What they're looking to do is just on this east face of the building, put a little entrance overhang, frame in a wood entrance overhang over this, and then create a little landscape bed to either side of the entrance. So this is the frame, the schematic frame of what that would look like. And then put in some landscaping here along each edge of the building to the right and left of it, or north and south if you're looking at it on the plan. So again, it's got to come in for the building permit because it's framing, it's got to get attached. There'll be a foundation for the columns. But really just creating a little bit of an entrance canopy to it. So if there's no issue, we'll handle this just at the staff level as well.
I think that's appropriate. It's nice.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
soften that big sheet of, or
Adding
big
to it, yeah.
mass of
Yeah.
space. Soften something or
Sure.
break it up, I guess is a better way to put it.
Okay. And then a slightly different and maybe something to think about and we can discuss further at the next meeting. 20 Scott Swamp Road. So it's the former rehabilitation facility that's just to the west of CVS. The CVS is here at Main Street and the extension of Scott Swamp.
Oh.
Touch point.
Touch point, yep. So the facility is closed.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
All the patients have moved.
I did not realize
Have
that.
been relocated. The building is in somewhat poor condition. I believe the movement of the patients was necessitated based on the condition of the building. So they did it prior to being forced, but to my knowledge, nonetheless. So the building is now on the market. And we have had a wide range of inquiries. And it's a difficult spot, right? Again, I
What's
think,
the
I
size?
think most people are familiar, right? It's
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
not a main retail location.
Yep.
Right.
It is not
It's a
a
weird
main
spot.
housing location. It is zoned. It is zoned business restricted.
It is. Yeah.
Business, what?
Business restricted, so which matches what the CVS is zoned and it matches what the small offices are to the north are all zoned BR. The gas station is B1. So the BR zone typically is a transitional zone from business to residential, given that we have the residential across the street, it is reasonably appropriate. So I've had inquiries regarding senior adult daycare for like dementia type patients. I've had inquiries for chemical rehabilitation, which would be permitted. I've had inquiries on hotels. I've had inquiries on
Really?
restaurants. I've had inquiries on a number of things. The latest was high density housing.
That's what I was. Wait.
Surprise.
So high density housing would obviously require a zone change or an 8-30G application.
Mr. Sager involved in this plan?
Right.
Excuse me?
Mr. Sager involved with this plan?
No,
chance?
there's nobody, no. So what I wanted to do is just, so it starts to become evident as to what wouldn't work, right? A restaurant is not gonna make sense here. A retail development is not gonna make sense.
No.
A hotel, a boutique hotel, even to service Miss Porter's doesn't make sense here. It's gotta be up at 4 and 10 and capture Avon Old Farms and Porter's and whatever commuting traffic, right? So you start to take, that's what, it's just, I'm kind of walking you through my thought process of, right, well, what clearly doesn't work?
Yeah.
Right? And you start to peel these things off and go, okay, well, it's not this, it's not that, it's not, put a doctor's office, perhaps. It's a little disconnected from other medical things, right? It's certainly disconnected from UConn. It's certainly disconnected from any of the medical that we see even up on our central portion of Route 4 and some of those hubs. Could it work? Perhaps. Is it an ideal location in a, what would be termed a Class A location? Probably not. And does then the finances start to work? Probably not. To use this building as is, my understanding is the elevator does not work. There's a basement or a partial basement. The roof needs to be completely redone, among other perhaps things. And that's just what I've been loosely informed of and not even necessarily directly. So there's a financial end of this as well. So you come back, I have come back around to this and gone, high density housing. Okay. So it doesn't hit our special innovation zone. it doesn't hit the midpoint development district. And from a high density, our RDN zone doesn't really get us to from a high density when you start to feel that and take a look. So, it would probably, I have concerns with opening up our BR zone to allow housing. I think our BR zone on smaller properties and considering a second floor residential is perhaps appropriate, but we need to preserve our commercial for commercial and our residential for residential and figure out these transitionals and not just open up all our commercial to any type of residential. This is somewhat unique, again, at the location. And so this is a conversation of what I'm interested in what your thoughts are. There is someone that is interested in high density residential. I'm not sure how to do it well here without doing an 8-30G. I don't know that we need another one either. So that's like, there's some conversation. But leaving it vacant isn't necessarily beneficial to all of us either. So
What's the address again?
it's 20 Scott Swamp is the formal address, because at this point, Scott Swamp technically is this spur road as you come to Main Street. CVS has a Main Street address and the gas station has a Cold Highway address, just to be different. So.
Yeah. When you said chemical assistance, is that like getting people off of a substance?
It would be correct. So it would not be, our regulations specifically prohibit a methadone clinic.
Okay.
But it would be for an inpatient rehab. So right now it's a rehabilitation facility, but it's for whatever, a joint, a hip, knee, joint, whatever, or an interim convalescing, for a senior person or older person, and getting closer to being that older person, but that, needs that transitional, you're not at the hospital anymore, but you need to still get your strength up before you can go home. Some of the inquiries have been for, again, chemical dependency rehabilitation.
When you said that, yeah, I was just trying to understand what that meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how big is it?
So the property is almost 6 acres. Its listing is 5.9 acres on our GIS. And the property, it's a portion of it seems to be 2 floors above based on that look. It is built in 1980, 29,450 square feet.
I didn't know there was an upstairs. We get
It
medical.
looks like.
In the
just
middle, I
looking at
guess.
it, There's
Yeah.
a second set of, in a different roof line for a portion of it. I personally I've never been in the building.
Is everyone looking to rehab the building?
There have been different thoughts. This particular inquiry, looking at the high density residential, would be looking to try to rehab the building. I don't know if the individual has been.
Is that?
Um, I did discuss the fact that our school district at the moment is all set with our high density housing. Having just come from our redistricting committee meeting that ran until 6 this evening. So I did say that if you are looking at something like that, it would have to be studios and 1 bedrooms.
Would have to be what?
Studios and 1 bedrooms, right? So, and really stay away from any 2-bedroom or grossly limited percentage.
Is that usable land behind it there, Shannon? That looks like it's part of the property too. Is anybody considered expanding that use?
You would be, again, we've got our 40% coverage.
Yeah.
50% max with
Yeah.
the 5.6. So I don't know what they
Mhm.
are offhand, but they're probably right up on it, close. I'd say eyeball, either you're probably right there around 35
Yeah.
to below 40% coverage. So now we could start to get creative in that graduated coverage requirement that we do. We
Mhm.
implemented in the industrial zone. Could we look at it here? I don't think the soils are as good here to start to be able to accomplish that.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, we've got, there is some, I had the vague recollection, there's some wetlands.
Oh, okay.
It connects through, well, and we've got the Quavic right here, so there's a
Mhm.
cross through here. I think this does get quite wet. I think
Okay.
there's a,
That would explain why it is the way it is, yeah.
yeah, I think there's a culvert here under Colt Highway that, a lot of these back properties drain out to. And then ultimately connects into the Pequabic, which it all depends on what level the rivers are at, right? That's what we're
Right.
too acquainted with as a.
Yep. A little bit too much, yeah.
I mean, I know it's not in our medical section, but I mean, all these outpatient places are popping up everywhere. That might not be a bad area for it.
Yeah, there's a dentist across the street.
Right, that's, it used to be my dentist. Yeah.
And right back at CVS. I
Yeah.
live pretty close and I just, for housing, the traffic's already pretty bad at the light on Main Street and going that way. And I would also be concerned about dementia patients if they get out at certain times, if they escape and hit the
Busy.
street. Yeah, those are my two concerns. I know when it was a rehab center, we got a lot of calls at the fire department too over there.
Okay. Medical calls, not,
Fall calls for patients.
oh,
and
for call,
stuff.
okay, needing assistance.
But that was mostly at night.
Sure, okay.
Hmm.
Okay, well,
Some creative.
let it kick around in the
Yeah.
back of your head.
Yeah,
If there's
definitely good. Need
anything
some
that
ideas.
Like, absolute, we will be seeing something. So there's a couple of properties that are changing over. There's a couple further in Britton Avenue, near the police station that are changing over. The individual that's interested in the high density housing is quite interested in getting the feedback of the commission if there's any additional appetite one way or the other. He's not really interested in pushing for something that there's no appetite for.
How many units do you think would go in there?
I don't know, and I don't know.
Excuse me.
I'm not familiar enough with the square footage of the two we just approved for Metro to be able to back. I can give you the unit count, but I can't give you the square footage. So I'm not really sure. And I don't know how many rooms were in here to begin with. So
Right.
if you'd be combining
Yeah.
2 rooms or 3 rooms.
Yeah.
So the high density housing, that would be studios though, you said studios and.
I did have the discussion with them. I said, you absolutely are gonna have to keep this to studios, 1 bedroom. If you had to go like 2 bedroom, it would be a really low percentage of 2 bedroom.
Yeah, so basically trying to keep the school kids down, is that?
Correct.
Are they allowed to go up anymore? Or do they need to stay where it is in open space?
That would be, so again, if this came in as an 8-30G regulation, and I did share within the New Britain Ave Opportunity Zone and the South Road Opportunity Zone regulations that just came through, I indicated you basically be looking at writing your own regulation to land that zone here. The ability to go vertical would be a couple of things. One, the foundation and structure, if the intent is to reuse the building, it's the foundation and structure capacity to do so. And the code shift, right, from it's built in 1980, so I'm not sure that they would be able to go vertical based on that. If he chose to demo it and go, then of course it would be part of the conversation with the commission, and I think it needs to be commensurate with the area.
Yep.
Where, the 3 stories was fine,
near the medical office, and as we get away from that, I think it's less appropriate.
It does seem like it, from a residential standpoint, it meets some of the walkability pieces that we've talked about too, like you can get to the CVS, you can get to the Dunkin' Donuts, it's in the gas station.
There's no.
I don't know how far up Highland, I'm trying to imagine, like, let's draw a picture of like,
It's on the other
just
side
how
of that
long a walk it is to Highland Park, but you've got some.
Yeah, it is
Gotta
under the
get under
bridge.
the bridge.
Yeah.
There's no
Probably about a
sidewalk
mile.
linking it up, because I live over there.
You got your maximum line.
Yeah, there's no, you'd have to walk on the street all the
no
way
sidewalk.
down. Main
Like
Street
over
to get
by
to-
the Healing Arts Center, or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
across
yeah.
from the
Bridge.
Apartments, there's
Yeah.
no sidewalk.
along that road.
It's
It
on the other
ends-
side of the street,
It
isn't it?
ends at CVS, and then there's a
Yeah.
huge gap until after the gas station.
Right, so you walk on the grass, because I've done it.
Right, so it's a half mile.
Yeah, I knew that was less than a
Foot,
mile.
not the
I would love it if
road.
sidewalk went in.
It's roughly a half mile.
I'd do that
You
one.
got your sidewalks.
I don't know, just a thought. I know we've talked a lot about that with high density is the
Right, well, you
walkability and the access to,
Correct. Correct. Yeah, I don't know bus service, they'd have to check the bus service.
Yes.
Metro gave it, we knew there wasn't anything. There's nothing along the Route 6 corridor. It comes down. It comes down and kicks out to Bristol and comes down into Plainville, and then it picks up again up like Colt Highway over by the medical office. There's a gap in the bus service, so you can go north-south. But the east-west connection is up at Route 4. It's not along Colt.
yeah.
Route 6.
Wonder if a combination of the two, like you said, having residential above and then, something down below,
Yeah.
you know,
Mixed use.
yeah, like it makes use, so you're saving some of your commercial. I mean, you have a
Yep.
CVS right there,
Yeah.
I don't know what would go in there, but,
Yeah.
It looks like it's a 42-room nursing home, and they all have their private bath.
There you go. A little
New
helpful
plumbing.
Googling. Thank you.
There's a lot of Googling.
Much
I don't know if
appreciated.
is that against the rules? I don't know.
No, you're.
Oh, no.
It's open, we're planning- Good. This is a kind of just an open dialogue. You're all good.
Would there be
Okay.
another report? Would there be another like traffic study?
So if
whether-
anything that were to come in would require full site plan, full drainage, full traffic, landscaping, lighting plan. It would be a full public hearing, application, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, absolutely.
Because, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about
Right.
adding 20 more cars coming out
15 and
between that light on Main Street
Yeah.
with, it probably,
Think about the houses on the other
trouble
side.
when school buses are coming out and
Okay.
5 o'clock, it's traffic too. This is already backed up all the time.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
cool.
All right. Well, so it's kind of out there. If, again, as you're gonna percolate a little bit,
Yeah.
if, you have any epiphany or something that you feel very strongly about one way or the other, then, let me know. It doesn't necessarily have to wait till the next meeting. But I'll put it on for one more chat. I'll let the individual know we chatted about it. He can watch it and decide how he feels accordingly, and then we'll go from there. He'll have to decide if he wants to jump in on the deep end on that one. So, that is all I have, other than a polite reminder on the online training for those that haven't
I've done
had
it.
a
I
chance.
I have to do it in writing. I gotta send you an email. I've done it, but
Okay. Yeah, so just the online training, the two modules, the land use, the map reading, fundamentals of map reading on the basic training for clear, and then on the advanced training, the fair and affordable housing. So, and if you've done it, just fire off an email to me. It doesn't have to be elaborate, just.
you need to know dates or completion dates.
No, I track, whatever date you send me the email is the date I track.
Okay.
I'm completed, so that's fine. So just a polite reminder.
Is that done yearly? I can't remember. Is that something that,
It's every 4 years.
right, so I don't have to do it, right? Like
You have to do the affordable. Yeah, you have to do the affordable.
okay. So the Yukon one, is that,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, because in yours
That's
was
correct.
2 years ago. Yeah, so you're fine. Yeah, so if you do the affordable, then we'll be good.
Okay.
Five Corners, that shell, did that get put on blight?
Yes.
Good.
It did. Yes. So the Five Corners building, the vacant gas station was put on a blight list at the first meeting in January with town council. And the owner's aware, that we made them aware ahead of time, and then official notification regarding the status, I believe, will be mailed in the next day or so.
Another blight issue, but the building right in the corner of Waterville and Four.
Oh, yeah.
Old building that I think,
The like house or whatever.
yeah, whether they're waiting for it to fall down so then they can do something with it, I don't know. I remember hearing about it before I was on the board, but it.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, so that one is a little different. It's the brown building at the corner. It is of great historic significance.
right,
And so there has been a conscious decision to not put it on the blight list because of
okay. Okay. Interesting. And there's nothing, is it still a standoff? The owner wants what he wants and,
the owner has not been interested in coming back
Okay.
to have any conversations regarding the redevelopment that would preserve that building.
huge.
Stalemate.
Okay.
Anything
Other
else?
questions for Shannon?
Just have.
Any more?
Fireworks.
So in,
How about we all get when you leave the committee, you get a chicken.
I'm gonna get one every Friday.
That's what Inez was doing. All right.
That's it, and that's got a
She got
chicken.
after the chicken.
Did she get a chicken? She might have.
Her golden chicken. So, and I think we did at one point last spring, make note of the registration. So up to 6 chicken, we changed the regulation.
Yeah.
Up to 6 chickens, it's now just a registration form. But to come to do the public hearing, when you get over the 6 chickens, those get first costly or more costly, in that it's 210 for the application. And then all the certified mailings to your neighbors within 200 feet. So depending upon your neighborhood and how closely that,
How dense it?
that price starts to go. If you're in an R40 or R80 zone, 200 feet, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, it's like 5
Like-
people.
yeah.
But if I'm in an R12 zone, all of a sudden I've got 20 or 30 mailings to do. And it starts,
Really?
it starts to escalate very quickly. So,
Wow.
which is really part of why we made the change to say, hey, for 6 and under, it's a registration, providing you adhere to all of these stipulations.
Mhm.
And that for more than 6, it requires the permit. But, it would be, we take these as a call comes in and so-and-so's roosters or hens went for a stroll on Saturday, so, or whatever, and somebody's not happy, so we check the neighborhood and see what we can see, because we don't have permission to go onto someone's
Yep.
property
Right.
randomly
Right.
either. So it's only what we can verify from the road. And then we just send a letter to say, hey, please get them in compliance. And we do every so often in the quarterly newsletters. We'll probably do it again this spring because it's the time, normally what happens is at Easter time, right? They're, wanting to get chicks.
Yeah.
For the
Or
kids.
the bunnies.
And right, so, but it's impossible. They're all, and I know of one, but I'm not. If nobody's complaining about it, our standpoint has been, we are not, and for any of the zoning enforcement, unless there is a problem or it's creating a
Not seeking
detriment,
it out.
we are not hunting these out. Right? I am not hunting for chickens. I got a whole laundry
Got
list
enough.
of other things that are more critical.
Chicken
that
hunting's
we-
not high on the
So
list.
certainly, if they're creating a nuisance or a neighbor has a problem with them, absolutely, then we'll, these bring them into compliance. interesting, to the best of my knowledge, the individual that complained about the ones on Fairview would have received notice about this meeting this evening and opted not to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
So-
maybe they're sliding them some eggs. And
Right.
who
So
knows?
Shannon, I'm just thinking about it now. What's the next step on 721 New Britain Road? Mr. Big Hole with 400 cubic yards.
Just gonna ask.
I'm gonna have to have a chat with the town attorney. There's financial issues there, which is, it is incredibly, it is quite complex.
It sounds like.
So,
Mm.
we will probably, go to an enforcement letter, an official, if everything's to date had been done via email, I will probably be forced to go to an enforcement letter and fines and see if that changes anything. So we are gonna have to probably consult with the town attorney.
Gotcha.
We good?
We just have to.
We'd have to do minutes.
Gotta do the minutes.
Yeah.
Motion on the
Get
minutes from January 8th, I think it was.
Yes, we're sitting.
All right.
Okay.
And it's two
Got it?
sets.
Yeah.
You got it or you want?
Oh, that's
We're
right,
gonna
two
do
sets.
Meeting in the regular meeting.
Minutes, I think so.
Uh,
Oh, okay.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and that could be in one motion. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 8th, 2024 Town Plan and Zoning Commission organizational meeting minutes and January 8th, 2024 Town Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.